Bro, that took me out. Like I was like, okay.
All right.
The bleeding stuff, I called it. I told y'all.
Adding Yoda to this, we even theorized that Dark Plagueis might show up. Adding Yoda to this, now you've tainted Yoda's legacy in the franchise.
Why is it tainted?
Because okay,
no.
Okay,
Hold on.
I'll say this.
I just want to hear Ant explain it.
Okay.
Like we're not gonna judge you. I just want to. I want to know. I'm genuinely curious.
Okay, so we already had Ki-Adi-Mundi, right? And that already kind of like, whoa, you said 1,000 years, you ain't seen none of this stuff. But he might not know the whole story.
Yeah.
If they imply that Master Yoda, we have to talk, meaning she's going to tell him that. And so when Qui-Gon comes to the council 100 years from now, and they're all like, no, there can't be no Sith. We need more. So when you're an organization and you have limited resources, yes, and something doesn't seem likely, you need to have more proof. But that means Yoda and Mundi already knew. They already knew that the Sith were around, and they ignored it. They led to Qui-Gon dying. They led to Anakin turning. It's a domino effect. So, and this is the problem when you add prequel stuff into it with careless thought. Even this changes lore. Well, because if Plagueis is there, you have Smiley and you have Osha. Where's the rule of two? Now you can have an adventurous, but he said specifically an apprentice. Except adventurous was never an apprentice. It messes with stuff, and if you haven't put thought into it, there's a domino effect.
Because real quick. So I hear what you're saying. So thank you for clarifying it. And you're saying you think that she's gonna tell Yoda the truth about what it implies, or you think that
that's what it kind of that kind of.
I don't see her telling the whole truth. She's gonna keep May as close to the chest as she can to get what she wants, because she wants to get that blood out of her ledger. In my perspective,
I'm gonna be so honest. I truly believe that, like, although, that makes sense. Like, that's what she was. That's implying that. That's what she's going to do. But I think I don't know if it's just me being a dickhead, but I realistically think that the only reason they had that last scene was solely to have that little cameo. I truly don't think that like it was really leading into the implication under the. Unfortunately, I don't think like narrative wise that's really what they were reaching for. I'm sure it's gonna lead into a conversation, but I feel like they might just take a left turn and do something else because that's just what they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My whole thing was Yoda would be in existence during this time frame, right?
The existence. That's
not about the existence. It's about the morality and the integrity of what Yoda stands for. And the fact that in that scene, in the context and way they executed, the way it was edited, and the way they were leading into that scene, it made it seem, all right, I told the Senate the BS answer, but let me tell Yoda what really happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, this man Yoda has he feels extremely responsible for a lot of the shit that's happened. I mean, isn't that the whole point that why he exiled himself?
No,
instead of trying to fight. What was the reason behind that? What was the reason behind
that? So if Yoda dies, then that was the end of it. So before this takes a lot. All right. So Yoda.
Hold on. Before we go down that route. Okay, let's take a step back real quick, because Ronan's not here. I don't know where the heck J King was. He's mostly compromised, I'm assuming. My whole thing is take, I guess, your slight on the Yoda implications and what that could be based on the framing of it. Base your perspective on the episode. Was this an entertaining, good episode? Or as a whole, from looking at the beginning of the season to now, was this a good finale? That's ultimately the question out here. This is what the basis of this review is. We can go into the specifics of why this taints certain characters or takes lore out of context. I don't have a step to climb on, but I do want to focus this review on what did we think about the episode? What did we think about the finale? Because I've got my own perspective on it, but I want us to kind of keep it centralized. If that makes sense. Everybody cool with that?
Yes, may I start?
Go.
Because I think if you guys seen my reviews before from this and stuff, I've been not been the biggest fan of the show, but not for the reason that the internet's saying. I just felt like that, and my biggest frustration with this entire series is the issue that I've seen with other previous shows. Like I'm gonna use example like shows like Titans, right? Where Titans, there was when there was like moments where I'm really enjoying certain things in this show, but then they just drop the ball with execution and connecting the glue, and it falls and everything falls apart. But I'm not going to say that those chess pieces, I was a president, chess club in high school, back in high school. I know that yes, I was. But that all collectively there are things that are good. It's not that the piece is the problem, it's the execution, how his role play in the overall game on the board.
That's well put. That is so well put.
How'd you think about the episode, Mike? The episode.
With that being said, there were things in this episode that I reacted to that got a joy out of me that was similar to episode 5, as you saw. I'm going to say for what they given, rating, I'm gonna give this a good solid C+, because I felt there were good things here. Action scenes was great. The action and the vision, the action is not compared to anything. Like I'm telling you, what Bizzy was saying, it like you gotta admit that this was some of the best choreographed Star Wars we've ever gotten. Space battles. I've seen like that fight, that little small thing we got in space when they're fighting the asteroid field and everything and stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. Performance wise, so listen, this show rode on his back to the very end, and they took him about almost 3/4 of this episode, and then once he was done, I was done. Because the fact that when he was getting force choked and then the tear out of his eye, come on, that is I gotta commend this actor. It's a shame but I could see him again in Star Wars and stuff, but he definitely left a mark on Star Wars to me in a positive way amongst all this mess. I will say again, I will give it to the I forgot off the top of my head the actress that played Ocean May. Again, I felt
Amanda Stepper.
Amanda, like I felt what she. Yeah, Amanda, like when she was
Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah, this girl's gone through too much, man. We got to get her name straight.
Yeah, I said that. What I felt like there was good things that was in here because again, they're establishing about how they're synced as as the Force and everything. As siblings, again, I'm a sucker for siblings in Star Wars, especially twins. And I felt again their chemistry, at least between their sisters, was some of the best we got in the entire season. I wish we just gotten more of it. And as adults, and actually see how that explained and explored upon, and seeing how now you've seen their roles being flipped, where now she's now on the lighter side and she's on the dark side, and even in the clothes they're wearing, everything. Now let's talk about Star Wars canon, and I'll get past them. The bleeding. I called Star Wars the lightsaber bleeding. I'm like, hey, it'll be cool if there's, if they did the bleeding case, they put that in canon. I don't know if this show's smart enough to do it, and they did it. And I love the way they did it. I actually thought that was a cool scene, and I called it. And I'm like, wow, you built up my expectation, and then you build it off, and you paid it off to it. Great job. And Plagueis, I was tripping balls. I lose my mind off of that. Again, whether if they're gonna get season 2 or not or whatever, the fact that we saw that, it just blew my mind. I'm recording that moment. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, TikTok. Put that on TikTok and everything as a moment in history that I was able to experience with my brothers on this screen. So yes, but aside from that, this show could have been better. Yes, C+.
All right, Bizzy, go for it, homie.
So unfortunately, there was a lot of episodes that I wasn't too fond of. Realistically, I mean, the show wasn't a banger to me. It wasn't as good as I really wanted it to be, and this was something I was really excited for due to the timeline and where the timeline was. But because the High Republic stuff is something that I've always been looking forward to. But one thing that I will say is that like you can't deny that the choreography in this show has been probably some of the best stuff. I think it is the best stuff that we've seen in live action. And again, I don't want to say I don't want to give it too much praise, because I feel like this is stuff that we should have gotten for the longest time. Like, this is what I envision. I mean, like when you watch some of the old cutscenes in the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic or whatever it is, or even fan films, they knock it out of the park with some of the the duels. But to see what they've done, I feel like it's a big ass step, and I truly admire it. As for just the show in general, I think episode 5, even this episode and the last episode, we're solid. I mean, when it comes to like lore, and I know people just being upset about kind of what it sets for the future, I understand the frustrations there. But if I'm looking at it just from a neutral standpoint, I think 5, 7, and 8 stand out, completely. And I think for me, at least, I'm giving it a C+ because of these episodes alone. Everything else, it was just I just wasn't feeling it, man. And there was times where I was really upset, man. I'm just like, dude, like this ain't it, man. But I try my best not to talk too much shit. Sometimes it's hard, but realistically, I'm just looking forward to I don't know what else I'm looking forward to, man. It's kind of I'm kind of drained right now. I'm gonna be so realistic, but I'm excited for people who are excited.
So as far as the finale, you thought it was a good finale?
I think it was a solid episode. Yep.
Okay, that's
well, yeah. I just wanted to. That's like my main thoughts before I bounce. That's all I wanted to put out there. Yeah.
Anything that surprised you? Because I know you got to head out in a second. Anything that threw you off? Plagueis, the kyber crystal.
Well, I mean,
the fact of what we found out, I guess, about Jason, and who he was devoted to. I don't know what really.
No, I mean, I wasn't too surprised about the whole Jason thing. That wasn't too surprising for me. As for, I don't know, something that really surprised me. I don't know, man. I think it was really predictable. I mean, even you called it a while ago, like how they were gonna kind of switch sides with the whole Osha and May thing. I think that the thing that really surprised me, but didn't surprise me at the same time, was them wiping her memory. So it was clear to me that she was gonna, how things were gonna switch off. But her getting her memory wiped, like, I knew I was probably gonna be a little frustrated by some of the decisions, but that really upsetted me. But the fact that we're getting a season 2. I don't know if I can commit to 8 episodes for an for the redemption, but at the same time, I do really want to see how they make things work. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna give it a shot, because at the end of the day, I really want to be here and see the show succeed. And again, this man right here has been, for me at least, a big reason why I've enjoyed the show. Soul definitely up there as well. But after episode 5, I mean, this dude has been, anytime he's been on screen, I'm just like, yo, he's him, bro. So I don't know. I am curious to see what they do with him. I really don't want them to just nerf the shit out of him. But at the same time, I'm just interested in his character specifically.
All right. J King, Ant, or Ronin?
I guess I'll go before these guys go. or wait, Ed, do you want to say anything?
No, I was joking. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay,
I'm gonna ask sometimes.
No.
Okay, so what I'll say, just now having seen this entire show, is just it's still a mixed bag for me when it comes to the show. There are a lot of great moments, a lot of standout moments that I can perfectly say make the show exciting, such as the duels that happen. Every fight scene within the show was just A tier. You can't deny that the fight scenes were not really good. Some of the concepts, again, Dark Plagueis, the kyber crystal lightsaber bleeding, or the freaking headbutt knocking out the lightsabers and all that stuff. There's just a lot of good in this. And there were also a lot of performances, you know, with the likes of Soul, May, Osha, Jackie, Quamir. Again, there's a lot to like with the show, but there is also a lot that can be frustrating. Like, especially week to week, where it's like, you know, oh, how is the show going to go? And it's like, I don't know. Like, again, there's a lot of things that a lot of Star Wars fans are not going to like, but I feel like it's going to be a divide where it's like, there's things you can appreciate when it comes to the show, but there's also things that will frustrate you. For me, at the end of the day, I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I definitely did like a lot more than I did dislike anything. And I definitely, again, with a season 2, again, did that get confirmed yet?
Hell no.
Nothing yet. Although they did refer to this as a season, like they were talking about some food stuff, and they're like, food for the season thus far, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'll say, like, I am interested in seeing where the story continues, because it's like where it ended. There are things that frustrated me, like the mind wipe, like it was for Bizzy, but outside of all of that. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, it frustrated. Okay, the reason it frustrated me because I'm like, really, we're really going through this. We're really pulling this on you. Just like, forget, bitch.
Cheat code. Yeah.
It's like cheat code just to get out of there. It's like, and also it also frustrated me, even though I saw it coming, that they were going to blame it all on Soul. Again, if there is a season 2, I am interested to see where it goes, and I hope there's like no more freaking like deception, no more lies, just all out. I know that there's going to have to be some lies in order to maintain canon of like, oh, there's been no Sith in over 100 years, you know, from the prequels. But I do hope that some stuff does come to light to clear. Like, Soul was not perfect, but I mean, blaming all that on him.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know. Yeah, no. So I would like to see the story continue, if anything, just to see where it goes. But there are definite improvements that need to be changed if you want season 2 to hit. Don't change the fight scenes, but change a lot of the other stuff.
All right, Ronin and Ant.
And do you want to go?
Ronin? Okay. So I'm going to start off there. Yeah, the fight scenes are amazing. I've seen some people complain about how Jedi Master would be samurai, but there could be different martial art styles. There should be different martial art styles in an order like this that is thousands and thousands of years old. And so adding a kung fu flavor to it, I thought was amazing. I thought they did a great job. Whoever they brought over to wherever they got there to do those fight scenes. And I think that the spectacle has distracted, because those are entertaining. I think it's distracted from some of the missing quality in the writing, execution, and character motivations that are nonsensical at times. I think also one thing I'm gonna give the show another credit for is Disney changed a lot of things, and one of the things was the bleeding up to the red lightsabers. That wasn't really a thing, as far as I know. I know in Knights of the Republic you had the spider thing going on. But this actually changed my mind on the bleeding lightsabers. I thought this was a very cool visual effect. How they did it was really really interesting. So they changed my mind on how I felt about the bleeding to change the lightsaber to red. So that was one of the good things. I think Squid Game Jedi, he carried this show for me. His acting, his range of emotions. I don't see how he's a Jedi with that emotional impairment, but he everything he was in, him and I keep calling him Jason from The Good Place, but what's his name? Kamir. Every time they were on screen, they carried this show. You were interested in their movements, how they reacted to stuff, even when they were saying dialogue, like, oh, I know what you mean, but okay. The way they presented it, executed it was amazing. Another thing I liked about the show is they were very mindful of power levels. It'd been very easy to have Kamir like bulldozer Saul, or the witches bulldozer the Jedi, and things like that. And in a power system that ranking was pretty much in George Lucas' head, it's a very delicate thing. And so them to actually take some care with that, I applaud that. Everything else was nonsensical. You did not need 8 weeks to tell this story. This was this is one of those things where I listened to is it Leslie Headland?
The creator and head writer and showrunner. Yeah.
She had a whole other story in mind that she like the mining camp that the witches were in, like all this other stuff that was going on. These are Anakin 2.0. I mean, a prototype form of Anakin, but they're flawed. And that's another thing. They keep taking from sources of that's their story, right? Even when she did the Luke throwaway, like, no, I'm not going to do this. And threw away the lightsaber. That's a Luke moment. Yeah, and you keep going back to this, take it from Luke, take it from Anakin, you're diluting it. And even going to Yoda, hey, there's only two. Luke, once I'm gone, you're the last Jedi. Since Disney's taken over, Luke is no longer the last Jedi during this period. Okay, we're gonna smudge it. Okay, hey, Sith hasn't been around for 1,000 years. Whatever she tells Yoda, even if she says my apprentice is out there, or he has this crazy mask, Master Saul was force choked, whatever. It just leads to so many issues with these characters. It seems like they want to. You can deconstruct something to build it up to be something else. You don't have to deconstruct it just to make it less. And I don't know what the point of this story was. Like, I don't know how this added to the universe besides cool fight scenes. I've seen Star Wars fan films. They have great lightsaber fights. Some of my favorite lightsaber fights are fan films. I think I've been really generous to this week to week. I've said some complaints, but I don't think I've given anything lower than a C minus, maybe. Right? I think I've been very generous. Yeah, I think I've been very generous. I think there's some. I think Mike, you gave a great example. There are some great moments, and I'll rewatch these fight scenes on YouTube. Like, I will go back to these fight scenes and watch them on YouTube. But the story itself was nonsensical. I know me and Sam disagree on the immediate danger of the children, and I think I've seen those discussions online a lot. I didn't think that could have been executed better. But overall, this episode I would give a C because of the fight scenes, because of Plagueis, because of Basil. But overall, I got to give this series a D. I think it was a lot. I think it was a lot of wasted time. I think it was a lot of wasted time that could have been used better. I know I'm gonna stop now, but I think it could have been used better and more wisely. This was 8 weeks. If it wasn't for you guys, I loved watching it with you guys and talking about it afterwards. And we've had almost 2 hour long discussions after we finished our review on this subject, and I have enjoyed that. And I don't think I've had that. Any of us could have wrote a better Ahsoka series. These conversations, though, I've enjoyed. And thanks for letting me rant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Ronin, before I go, I'll let you tell your piece about it. I mean, well, never mind. Go ahead. I'll talk after you.
I had a blast with this episode, and yet parts of it, I'm going, really? We're going down this road? This is the cheat code that we're putting in? You know, this is the one thing that I'll say about it, that like yes, the fight scenes were awesome or not. A lot of y'all hit the nails of how I feel about it. You know, Lee Jong-jae being true master, and even when you see him perform these scenes, you know that this fool had to learn another language to do it, and you feel that way. And in a weird way, you feel the Jedi-ness in him there. And I love, I was mixed in it. I'm like, I don't know if I want him to die or not, and I don't know if I don't care anymore about him after last week's episode because of how much that really twisted stuff. And yet I was, I didn't cry when he died, but I did. It really was like, fuck, we lost him. Now what? And I think kudos to him. Kudos to him and what he brought to this series. We don't deserve that performance. And I really, I commend him for that. And I think that Khmer is a great addition, in my opinion, to the story in this galaxy. And the mind trick thing, I don't know how I feel about that. Everything, again, you go back once we put up the reaction, we're with the episode, and it wasn't until that happened that I'm like, oh, this feels funky in a lot of ways. And even Osha doing the force choke, and how much we did it and then we moved on. And I was like, I feel we should have spent a little more time with that, because I'm like, he lied to you. Yes, you could do that, but also this is the guy who went to bat for you and got your back when everybody was saying she's guilty before proven innocent. And I feel there was more there to do between the three of them, between the sisters and Saul. And I dug the ending scenes where we're in Coruscant. Again, when we're not with Saul or Jackie and we're in Coruscant, I'm intrigued because I'm like, ooh, what are they talking? What are they thinking about that? I'm engaged. That last interaction, the last sequence, we need to talk. It's leaving it to open interpretation, but when you put it that way, it feels like she's spilling the beans. You're like, yo, we got a problem. Now that's up for us to leave an interpretation. I feel that in a way, cool, yeah, we got the green guy, but I'm like, oh no, Bizzy. Oh no,
girl, man, stop making me bless you guys. Thank you.
That rocks how I see Yoda now, potentially. Again, it hasn't been, we don't know what they said, but the way the execution what came about, it felt funky. As a whole episode, I think I give it a B. Yeah, I think I'll give it a B. Again, there's just some parts that like I feel like execution could have been better, and I think that's a good theme that I'll get to it later on another video, another stream of how I feel about this show as a whole. The bones are there. Great concepts, great scenes, great ideas. A lot of this whole 8 episodes could have been done in 4 episodes and still left us being like, all right, 4 more episodes. How do we go further with this? It kind of reminds me of when the old Netflix Marvel shows went out and there was 13 episodes, and a lot of us felt, you know what, you could have all done this in 10 episodes, solid 10 episodes. In a weird way, I kind of feel that. I don't think it's the worst thing, but yet it was a rocky journey at points. I'm like, oh, shoot. And I didn't have any expectations. The cool thing about this show, and I think it was a benefit to them, is that I didn't have expectations for it. And so I went with how it was presenting stuff. Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, I had expectations. So that's a different scenario.
Oh, my God.
Why you mention Boba Fett, bro? Why you keep mentioning that? I'm going to keep calling the Boba Fett every time you mention it.
Sure.
That wasn't Boba Fett. That was Boba Fett.
Sure.
I call it the book of, but I can't say a word. I'm trying to not cussing. I'm trying to just do that less.
That's only one day after Sunday. I don't know what you know.
Yes. I give the finale a B.
I'm trying to hold myself accountable.
As a whole, the show, I dug really, really like a lot, 60 to 73% of it. The other 27%, I felt, man, this would have hit better or feel better if we got another rotation at either the script or something. I don't know. There's more to discuss about that, but that's where I stand right now.
Yeah. This is gonna be interesting. As far as the show is concerned, let me preface it like this: the Ahsoka show. The only reason why I was connected to the Ahsoka show is because of the legacy that is Anakin Skywalker. Ultimately, I had no prior preconceived notions about Ahsoka because I didn't watch the Clone Wars series, and we were doing it together. Like Bizzy and Ronin was working with me to kind of get through it, but I was like, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. I haven't been honestly this entertained or invested in characters I had no idea about in a very long time. I've actually really enjoyed this series. I think the thing about it, the way that they marketed this show, I think they marketed it very wrong, in all honesty. Because if the show was gonna be like, oh, like everybody's thinking, oh, this is about Jedi, like this is about the initial Jedi, and this is another, like it was presented to me with like, why are there so many Jedi? And this is Acolyte. This is about, the dark side of the Force and like corruption and maneuvering that route. And I was like, it took a good amount of the show to weed out and kill, I guess the light in a sense, or any kind of temptation that would go left or right to show this level of unbalance that spawned this thing, this snake that's been just burrowing under. One of the things that I'll say that I appreciate what Ant said, it was kind of like the concept of like, how does this make sense in this moment as far as context? What I felt like the show was supposed to invoke is this idea that you guys had no idea that these dark forces were here in existence, and this is what this looks like. I think that that's what, honestly, they should have pivoted to. I think they got there, but the route and the length of time that it took to get there may have lost some people. It didn't lose me because I knew, and I've always accepted from the beginning, that all these Jedi realistically are probably not going to make it, because this is about the arrival of the apprentice towards the dark side. So that's always been something that I've looked at in the back of my head. And I'm glad, because in this episode, it kind of paid off. One of the biggest things to me, and again, me and Ant don't agree necessarily on whether or not Soul, quote unquote, killed /
he killed her. I'm just saying it wasn't cool.
He killed her. He's a murderer.
Well, Ant said he's not a murderer, but I say that he is a murderer. And the reason why I say that is that in the day, that man was like, oh, he jumped. Oh, I got to stab him. You know what I'm saying? So we
can't have this debate. We can't have this debate right now.
We're not doing it. I'm not going to the reason why I bring it up is in this episode, they paid off that casualty perfectly. From May's establishment and understanding where Soul's motive, she actually got to have that real conversation with him while chained up. And then at the same exact time, the thing is, and honestly, I know what you said, Ronin, I appreciated it, but at the end of the day, she has always trusted and thought that Soul had her best interest at heart. In his own deluded way, he did, but he tainted it. She's this whole entire time for years, and she said it in the conversation with her, she wanted to basically kill her own sister because she blamed her sister not only for their home being destroyed, but also like any kind of legacy she would have, because she was so tainted with anger and frustration that she couldn't get rid of it because of her hatred towards her sister. So at the moment that she got the real revelation, I was like, there's no way, she's not even balanced at all. Like, there's no way she's not going to kill this man. And I think the thing that was so heartbreaking, that's why I respect Soul going out, is he wanted her to. Like, because I was like, why are you saying it's okay? Like, no, like, this is going to taint her soul ultimately by you taking this L. Like, I know you're wanting recompense and your guilt because of what happened, but by allowing her to be the one to do it, you're basically damning her down this dark path.
I agree with
that. I think that was the thing that was so hurtful and at the same time poetic in a way, because it
a tragedy.
It foundationally sets the Acolyte. The establishment of the show, that moment is where he relented and said, okay, I deserve this. It's okay. But that moment of selfishness to say okay is the exact reason why they're in this mess right now. He thought in his mind emotionally that, oh, okay, they should have a better life. And I get it from a different perspective. You can look at it that way. But he stuck with that to all these different lives that spurned this. And that's, to me, I felt like this episode was payoff. For all the times it may have been slow, but all the times that were good, like they invoked something real. And at the end of this, I think the thing that surprised me more than anything is the High Council Master throwing him under the bus, but then telling May the truth. That was dark. Because at the end of the day, she sat on that lie and basically used Soul to make sure that nobody else felt this level of distrust in the Jedi or fear because of a dark force. But she had enough wherewithal to know, like, this girl, she doesn't have anything anyway, so I'm gonna use her. So it's literally continuing the cycle that Soul did to Ocean over to May. And I was like, that's more darker than what Jason did. And so
but she did that. The green-haired lady did that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but I mean, even originally, Soul was like, we have to tell the council what happened. And she was like, no.
Right.
So I think that, I'm sorry. I would go.
No. What I'm saying is that it caught me off guard because I've this whole entire series been like, I love Soul as a character. The actor's killing it. Like, I appreciate his imbalance. He probably shouldn't be a Jedi Master right now. But for television's sake, like, I love the idea of an actual Jedi, like, losing it or coming off the track, so to speak. I love that because I haven't seen it. So it doesn't bother me like it bothers you guys because I haven't seen it. I'm more intrigued about the idea of what that really means. Where does that lead him to? So for me, y'all are frustrated, but I'm not. I'm like, I'm in love with this. I'm eating good popcorn right now. But it's kind of like for me, I was like, man, like, no, I can't put my trust in this man. Like this is not what he's doing. Is not on a good footing at the end of the day. And I was like, I knew it was gonna crush his true relationship with Ocean because it was built on so much sand, bro. And I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I didn't think they would actually stick the landing, even though I've been very entertained. I was like, they're gonna poop the bed. Somebody's gonna poop the bed.
Can I ask a question here?
Oh, I was gonna say I like that. I like that thought about the penance. His need for penance outweighing her soul,
salvation,
pretty much. Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put that because everybody. And I'm sorry, Mike, I'm not gonna talk long. No. Everybody put their own thing above somebody else, right? So the green hair lady, you guys know. I didn't read the what's the name?
High Republic book.
High Republic. But she put her need for the Jedi to be seen as perfect above her Jedi's balance, the Jedi under her's balance. Because she's the start of that corruption, really, and she's probably the most evil person in the series, as far as I can tell.
Saul look at her pupil. He got that way some kind of way.
Yeah, Saul put his need for absolution and penance, and I've seen this in real patience. I've seen them like it's like, nah, man, just go talk to your kid. You ain't got to die for your kid. Just go talk to your kid. like, don't let them give that anger over you. And you know, even Smiley put his need for an acolyte above any relationship stuff was going on. And May she needed to sacrifice herself for her sister, and because there was no real reason for her to stay and get confronted by the Jedi, but she needed to save her sister, right? And so I didn't want to talk. I just want to give you laurels on that. That was a really good point.
No, I think everything you guys were saying, was correct. And I don't mean to be disrespectful or throughout the series of like, us holding on to something we know. I mean, even then there's some things that are like concrete pillars that it's non-debatable in terms of me and Ant's perspective. It's just like, but aside from that, the point about the mismarketing of this show at the end of the day, that's a part of the frustration where it's like, do you think it was a call? Not on. I understand people want to get on the writers and the actresses and everything, which I don't believe they had no part. Because I watch all the interviews, I watch all this, and I actually love the conversation they're having, what they're trying to tell. The problem was that's not what we got with the final product. So my question is, do you think Disney came into the show and said, "Hey, we don't want you to want you to go this dark because we're afraid how the image of." We still need to put this on Disney Plus. We don't want to, go this darker route of a story of giving a full-on perspective of the Sith, because we still have to give some form of heroism or some type of light into the Jedi in some form or fashion. Whether then it can make bad decisions or whatever, but we just can't go fully dark, which is why we saw Darth Plagueis in the shadows, not really fully there. Because we,
I think yes. I think absolutely. I think that they've done it for years. To use a good example, like when Miss Marvel, the show was marketed, I was like, I ain't never gonna see this show. I just happened to look at that joint first 2 episodes. I was like,
loved it.
I liked it. I really
loved it.
If you go off of the marketing, why would you ever look at that show? Like the initial marketing for that show was they didn't give it a chance of real marketing, but even deeper than that, it just wasn't presented well. And I think that with this, there's a point. I'll be careful how I say this. I don't think the creator pushed how the marketing was going to go for this. And this is me and Ronin. We went back a long time ago because Ronin, look at these pictures. I was like, dang, this looks dark. I'm here for it. And I looked at the first trailer and I was like, man, what the heck is this? So I was like, why are all these Jedi here? This doesn't make any sense. And so I definitely think that they wanted people to get hooked in by certain actors, by certain names, and by Jedi and lightsaber fights. and they wanted to bring them in to the idea as opposed to just presenting like this is the dark side of the Force, this is what you get, because they can't take a chance in it failing. And I think that they did a disservice to what the narrative could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest with you, if this was a movie first, and then by the time we got to an actual second season, if they went off of that, I think it would have been dope. I don't think any of you guys would have been having any problems if this was like a 2.5-hour movie and they condensed this down to get to the point that it ended with, and then they started right where the second season is about to begin. I think you guys would be like, all right, bet.
I agree.
You know what?
I think that like that would have been. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna apologize what I said about the creator then, because we've seen it before with Disney and Marvel. Right. Coming as like you have this in it, you can't have this in it, you had it, right? And it dilutes a vision. So I don't know what the original pitch was, because what I heard first was I pictured we were getting like Dark Side Academy type stuff going on.
Exactly.
And the Jedi might be in the background when they kill them or something like that, or disrupt their plans. And I was here for that. I was here for that story. But who knows who came in and said, no, we gotta have the Jedi here, and you have to do this, and we have to. So you know what? I'm gonna apologize. I think I don't know if that's gotten live or not, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe everybody doesn't need to play in this sandbox. But again, I don't know what Red Tie came down and said. You need to change this. All right, love you, and went away. So I'm gonna apologize for that.
Have you seen Moon Knight? No, we saw Moon Knight together.
Yeah, we saw. if y'all want to ever see Sam's heart break on like the bones of a show that's great there, and then some guy was like, nope, we need something flashier at the end. Kaiju. That's what we need right here. Sam was so disillusioned. We praised that show for like 2 episodes. This is like the best acting ever, and that show fell off hard.
I will never look at that show again, bro. Sorry, go ahead, Ronin. Go ahead, Ronin.
See, that's his trauma. His trauma was just speaking right now.
Go ahead, Ronin.
It's okay.
Never.
I'll say this, that like even with Ms. Marvel, they dropped at the same time as Obi-Wan Kenobi, so it didn't help that the one show everybody was looking for, and the boys were just like that. She had
and Stranger Things.
Yeah, just a very terrible time. Like you got all these shows, and then
yeah, I agree, and I feel like with this show, my concern going to the finale was just have a good bookend to the story, leave some crumbles to dive deep in more in case I want to come back for season 2. And in many ways, it was left with a ... We'll be back to tell the rest of the story. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like it felt like you could have closed this out more. And again, I just saw the episode. I have to rewatch it again, experience it. I thought about rewatching the show back to back, see how much the rhythm goes better, because I think I can say it now. I was fortunate to see the first 4 episodes not too distant from each other. I didn't have to wait that for 3 weeks like a lot of people did. And so I went into that 5th episode being like, I'm feeling good. I the 3rd episode that people were crying and moaning about, like, I'm like, I dug this. We for an hour we talked about like, was So in the right? Was the mothers in the right? And I feel like something that could have helped where So was coming from, and the debate about what he did was right or wrong, is that we should have spent more time as well with the other mother that was also ready to fight and was saying, get mad, kid, I want to get mad. And I feel like there was just more stuff, and like lean into that one. And I feel maybe Disney had a hand in it and whatnot, but I feel like if this is the same company, same studio that brought out Andor, that in many ways is the darkest side I think I've seen of the dark side, even though it's Imperials. Go look at the show. It's World War II stuff. It's Gestapo. It's the SS. Like there's moments where they're torturing someone. There's people, the fascism lay over it, and it's like it's in the world. It's on Disney Plus. Whether people saw it or not, who knows? But it's there, and like it's possible you can do it. There's maybe because the lightsabers were the thing that were the eye candy that they were afraid to go lean into. But I'm like, you did that with the basis of what this franchise called Star Wars. It's not Jedi. It's not the lightsabers. It's Star Wars. I feel that if they weren't going to follow George Lucas' treatments that he gave them, fine. But at least take a lesson from it of like, don't be afraid to swing and try this. This felt like it was trying to swing, and at times it either went too high, too low, or didn't go for the full swing at all. And I let's get this out of the way. No matter how I feel about the show or this finale, nothing takes away how much seeing those fingers crawl out of that cave and that shot on that character appear, like that was like holy shit moments.
Great moment. Great
and
moment.
I'll give this to Leslie that she pulled that off. And for anybody who didn't know, in London, when I saw the first footage of this, and they had kept it very close to the chest, she said she pitched Frozen meets Kill Bill.
Yeah, and another thing, and because you guys have like legends and comics and things like that, like I do in Star Wars, there's been some dark stories in Star Wars. We've seen Vader. Like there's been stories of Vader hunting down Jedi, and there's been some dark Vader hunting down Jedi. So I also appreciate this, that I like that this had a dark Stahl getting choked out by the person he loved the most in the universe, and losing two of his apprentices in like days. X-23 and her, like that was a good tragic moment for Star Wars. Seeing Plagueis was a good tragic moment. These lightsaber fights were great moments for if you had to put a sizzle reel. Usually when I see things like top 10 Star Wars moments, sometimes I'll see like Last Jedi up there and I'm like, I didn't deserve anything. But this, you put some of these things up there, I'll be like, yeah, that deserves a top 10, top 3 fight in canon Star Wars. That Plagueis moment's one of the biggest reveals that I've seen in the last 10 years of Star Wars. I think that this was also made to appeal to a certain demographic in a way, because some of it read like a romance novel. You know what I mean? And I'm not above reading romance novels or smut novels. Like I give you a list, but it read like that, and some of it kind of jarred me for Star Wars, right? Especially when you, I think a Star Wars is a general appeal a lot of times, and you can have things like genres within it. Some of it really, I think it was speaking to a specific audience, and if you like Star Wars, there's things you can like from it, and if you like certain things, you probably gravitate to it more. So I don't want to throw everything out, but and if it is a miss, at least you guys tried. You made the product you wanted to make.
Yeah,
I need to sit with it. I need to sit with it a little bit more and just be like, what the hell? Because again, even Plagueis, I couldn't process that. You go look at the video. Like I was just like, wait, did we just see that?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I even looking at it now, I'm like, they filmed that? They made that? Holy shit.
And in my mind, when they gave you an outward look of the canyon, like from somebody's point of view, for like a couple seconds longer than it should have, and I was like, who's still there?
Yeah, like when that hand just like popped out, and I was like, I know very little about Plagueis, but I know of his existence, and I was like, I looked at y'all. Mike started yelling, and I was like, Mike, calm down. What's wrong? And I was like, okay, this is a big deal. Let me process this for myself, because
can't wait to rewatch that.
See, that freaking moment, I was just like, I saw the hands. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? But as soon as we get a look, I was like, oh shit. Because it's one of those moments. It's like, that wasn't expected, but damn.
Yeah.
I lose my mind. I will not apologize for that, because I'm glad that's recorded.
But TikTok.
I thought we were going to get like a generational thing of Sith leading up to Palpatine is what I thought we were getting from this show, and seeing how like maybe even we get to Darth Maul and he's get tortured, how he, I just thought we were going to get like a really dark side show. And so maybe they come back with a season 2 and we just get a dark side show.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't know her name, but the master with the whip, she
Vanestra.
Really, that didn't feel right to say.
Vanestra.
That man called her the master with the whip.
I ain't feel right at all. My heart a little bit. Okay. Vanessa, she looked like she was a prototype for Sidious the way she was doing stuff, and I think they just need to explain some things more. Like if you guys get a season 2, just you got that many episodes, slow down. Why is the Jedi being reviewed a big thing? Why is it more scary to say less scary to say there's a rogue Jedi going around and killed a bunch of other Jedi versus, hey, we got some dark side users out there? Why is that? Is there trauma in the universe from the Sith Wars going around? Because like one bad Sith user can start a start a galactic you gotta let us know what the danger is. I don't know what the danger is. Torben, I still don't know why he killed himself. That boy was like 16 or something like that, and he got his mind tortured, and he didn't kill nobody.
But see, no, that's what I was saying like last week. Is I think that's it. Like, it's how do I put it? His mind. This is a Jedi getting his Padawan, getting his mind taken over, and he dealt with a traumatic moment. And on top of that, he made a reactive decision that caught him off balance to go back and get this chick only because he wanted to leave. And I think that both of those things, he blamed himself. Like, I think that he had like a PTSD situation. I think his mind just wasn't.
How does he become a master so profound that a whole order is around him and he's levitating?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Around for over 16 years.
But what I'm saying is that if he never resolved his own actual trauma and blame, it's the same thing as Soul. Like, Soul has gone all these years and holding on to this thing, and he just been avoiding it and burying it. It's the same basis. I think that every single one of them were off balance from the actions that they made. But I think for him, because he was a Padawan, he blamed himself. Anybody that, you know, grew up, unfortunately, in certain situations, a lot of times the kids blame themselves for the actions that the parents made.
Yeah, they internalize it.
Different.
They internalize it.
Right.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I'm interrupting you. So you go ahead.
No, I just think that he absolutely took ownership of something that it was out of his control. And because of that, I think he devoted himself to kind of like a solitude and just was like, look, I need to kind of be to myself, and I'll just hone my mind, because it's the thing is like the whole point was he got his mind like taken over. Why not be into your own mind, safeguard it? Like, the biggest thing that seemed like he was just trying to stick into a place of meditation, which is trying to refortify your mind more than anything to me.
So if they weren't Jedi, I would agree with you, but he went from Padawan to Master.
Yeah.
Right. So a whole thing of like Saul, you could maybe make the argument that he's already a Jedi Knight, so he slipped through the cracks. Like, he hasn't taken the trials yet. He hasn't done any of his other stuff. But even Osha saying I couldn't pass the trials because I couldn't get rid of my negative thoughts. There's no way Torben he became a master in 6 years because he's been in a meditative coma for 10 years. So,
but Carrie-Anne Moss, right? Her character was his master, right?
Yeah, but she doesn't do the trials.
No. What I'm saying is that she's gonna. How do I put it? The way that I would look at it, long term, she's gonna try to find out how everybody can be put in a place to keep them where they need to be. And I'm not saying she did some shady stuff, but honestly,
she'd have to.
Honestly, everybody on the Jedi Council at this point in this show, in the context of this show, have been compromised in some way, shape, or form. But one thing I wanted to say, because there's been too much negative backlash, too much, in my opinion, like racism. And I'm talking about Amanda. Like, Amanda killed this role to me. I think that from a performance standard, from ownership, from two different characters, playing off of two different characters, I feel personally that she did an amazing job. Do I think from a narrative standpoint, there are certain things and threads they could have tightened it up? Absolutely. But that's not a slight on her. I think she took this and ran with it, in my personal opinion. I can't speak for y'all's opinion on it, but I just want to make sure I say it because she deserves her flowers. She did that daggone thing.
She brought so much to it with what she was given. And although 100% of the time it didn't hit me, May's frustration when she was fighting Saul for the first time about like, you're lying, my sister's not alive. And her thinking the whole time, oh my gosh, my sister died and I'm the survivor's guilt. I agree with again, folks, for those who watch this video or other of our videos, constructive criticism goes a long way, and there's some fair criticism for the show. Yes, constructive wise, but there's some that is just pitiful, It dishonors what this franchise is about. It dishonors what the creators of this franchise since 76 have been trying to do. She doesn't deserve that, or they don't deserve that. Sorry. I feel like, yeah, to be clear, if we have gripes with the show, is from story, narrative, all that. The act, for those who don't know, I'm gonna do a spoiler alert. These are actors and actresses. Their jobs is to get what they're given and bring it to life to the best of their abilities. And as I say that Soul and Jackie were my favorite characters of this series, she took what she was given and did the best with what she could do with it. And moments got me, moments didn't. That's not her. She they did not write it. They didn't produce it. I want that to be clear. That some stuff isn't warranted towards this show. Some stuff is, but I want the people to know the fine line and how the stuff that isn't shameful.
All the actors did a great job. Anybody that can't see, and you do the best with the material you have. And even that, I think George Lucas created a great world. But he has some clunky dialogue, and you see great actors try to get through that dialogue. It's rough. It's rough. These actors did a great job. I love seeing some of these guys from other things come in here and do their thing. I love Jason's arms coming in there. I need to get to the gym right after we get off of here. I need that vein going down. That man took off his sleeves to fight. So I was in the gym. Anyway. But if you have a problem with, and again, I think some of this stuff is conflated, but I think there is a large, I think there's a large population of people who want to bring stuff into Star Wars that doesn't belong there. Princess Leia was the strongest, most competent character in the original trilogy. Mara Jade Skywalker is one of the most fan favorite Legends characters ever. Jaina Solo is the Sword of the Jedi. The Dark Woman was somebody that was feared and respected by even the Jedi Council. There are examples of women of color, people of color, all through Star Wars. And if that is your gripe, you don't belong here. I'm not a gatekeeper of type of things, but you don't belong here. And don't bring it to the conversation. And even if you think that a writing decision had to do with representation or whatever, if it works, doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, go on the points of why it doesn't work. Everything else doesn't need to be laying in these conversations. We used to be able to disagree. We used to be able to disagree about topics, franchises, who was your favorite captain, who was the best duelist. A lot of those channels have disappeared because people have brought politics of their own hate into these discussions. They don't belong. Me and Sam, I respect Sam's opinion in every genre that we've talked about. We don't agree on some aspects of the show. It's nothing going. I'm not going to hang up just to go Sam's evil or Sam's wrong or Sam. That's not. It doesn't belong. We can have a great discourse and have true geek debates about stuff we love. I don't care if I don't like the next 10 Star Wars movies. I'll still enjoy talking to Ronin about it. You know what I mean? Let's get to that and find joy even in something that we don't necessarily think is an A+ material. We've seen worse and enjoyed it.
I would say.
Is she threatening me, Sam? Is that what it was?
No. I brought her in intentionally because regardless of how you feel about Obi-Wan from a narrative perspective, people were jumping down this black woman's throat based on it was on her being a black woman. I don't know way to say it. Like it was almost like the character showed up like she's not this is not an Inquisitor, this is not. I was like, first of all, I don't even know what an Inquisitor is for me. And then when they were going this route, I was like, bro, like, come on, man. I love Star Wars too, bro. Like, it's okay. And when I started seeing what was going on with her, me and Ronin had this conversation about The Last of Us. Like, we've seen where this kind of talk can go.
Oh,
it's different and it's worse because this is coming from like a more heinous perspective. And I mean, I know there's a couple of us up here that want to say more, but it's just no place for it. Like, this is the whole point of this is not only to explore your imagination creatively, but it's also to be subjective in your perspective. And at the end of the day, like, this is just an actor playing a role. This is just an actress playing a role. Regardless of where they go, you cannot sit there and come at them like that. It's just wrong, flat out.
And they're people.
I had to bring it up because I don't want to end the show without bringing it up. But
you really gotta find a way to separate artists from the art. Like, these are actors who are just doing their job. This is the role that they were given, regardless of how you feel about whatever character they're playing as. At the end of the day, you gotta not come at the people, like the actors or some of the writers, and just harass them just because you didn't like an episode or you didn't like a certain film or anything like that. That is not the thing to do, and that is not the best thing to do when you are not happy with something. Have a discussion, but don't be a bully about it.
And imagine getting 1 million comments a day on something that you're just doing your job at, like that. And I saw some people complain about the music video she put out or whatever. I thought it was fun. She put her thing and she expressed herself. If you don't like it, don't watch it. You know what I mean? If you, sorry, go.
All right, I'm in the car right now, but I was just saying that in this panel right now, you see 2 generations of Star Wars, right? For people who grew up on the original trilogy, us younger people who grew up on the prequels, and yet here we have another 3rd generation that's not here, who are grown up with the sequel trilogy of Disney, right? And yet we are in each, and some of you, if you're old enough to remember, that in each era of Star Wars, there was backlash in some form or fashion. Empire Strikes Back got blasted on the newspaper trades back in the day, and before internet was created. Everybody, over regards when I was a kid, hated the Star Wars prequels. It was a joke. It had gone on George Lucas and everything. Now here we go now in this Disney sequel trilogy after Last Jedi, and now we get everything. Now we're saying either it's a political agenda, and now we're talking that everything has to be a message and everything. But sorry.
But also, why can't she say I wanted to make this Star Wars as what did she say, LGBTQ inclusive or gay as possible? So she said something like that. It's okay. I love Quillen Voss. I want a movie about Quillen Voss and his locks going through a jungle. Look, what's the problem?
The Rise of the Skywalker, God knows, was not my favorite Star Wars, and I will admit that to my last. But what they did to old actress that plays the role of Rose, that joint was wrong.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was straight up terrible.
I mean, of course, they did my man John bad too, but what they did to her was wrong, bro. And it's just no place for it. I found this randomly up here. I don't think that all these different characters, were as outwardly talked about, or but there have been certain instances of people coming down. I found this kind of unfortunately, but
yeah.
Can I recommend something?
I don't want this to be a political end of the review, but I do feel like it needs to be talked about, because you can't start a conversation, you're always going to be indifferent. You're always going to put you in a place of not ignorance, but just confusion and lack of understanding. So it's kind of like, it's good to hear just kind of how somebody else feels. And I think that we can come up with a fresh perspective and come in a common ground without it being a place of disrespect. Even if you've been one of those ones coming for this character's understanding and their necks or whatever, but I mean, I just want to make sure we make that clear. So
can I recommend something? For anybody who's very like opinionated one out, or like gets so thrown out by new stuff that's been coming out of Star Wars, go watch this documentary. It's called The People versus George Lucas. It is an amazing documentary, and it's a good look in the mirror in a meta way to how we deal with the stuff we get from this franchise. And it applies for the franchise, but it's a good hard look. And I once in a while I watch it just to be like, don't go and end up like a lot of people who like to voice their opinions. So I highly recommend y'all watch that, just to keep some sanity in yourself when you want to be vocal about stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, let's close this out. My final rating for this last episode is B+ or A-. It might be A- for me. I might end up watching this joint again at several different times because this joint was crazy.
The whole thing?
No episode, this finale.
Oh.
But as far as the series as a whole, I think it's a B for me. I really was entertained by it. I think that I knew where certain lines were going to go. I do have like some things I feel like could have definitely changed, but the biggest issue with how this was presented and marketed was the biggest step that went left. And I mean, all the other stuff is hearsay, but yeah, we can. So now I've did my final. Where can everybody find your content, Ronin?
You can find me at Ronin Unchained on YouTube, on the socials. Tomorrow, fingers crossed everything lines up right, we will have a discussion about this finale and season as a whole for around the same length of time for this video. I really want to sleep on it, see how I feel about this show as a whole. But as of now, fresh out of watching it, I feel I got a solid B, maybe B-, B+ of this finale. I think I had a blast with it. Some stuff, whoa, that was a choice. But as a whole, for this finale, I'm gonna leave it at that. I give it a B. Stay tuned for more of my thoughts as for the season or the show as a whole.
Thank you, Ronin. J. King, I guess final thoughts, and where can everybody find your content, man?
Well, where people can find me, you can find me on Mike's channel. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram, jking_ZIO. But just thoughts, final thoughts on this. Again, I had a blast with this series. Again, just like Ronin, there are a lot of moments that I really liked, and there are a lot of moments where I'm like, okay. Again, I have to agree with you in saying that the marketing with this whole series is probably the biggest fault in this. So I'm hoping that if they do come back with season 2, that they strengthen the parts that need to be fixed. Don't strengthen what doesn't need to. Strengthen what needs to be worked on, which is some of the dialogue and some of the directions you were going. Other than that, I would probably give this thing like a C+, B-. Yeah, that's where it's. Episode wise, I'd say B-, series wise C+ or B-, somewhere around there.
All right, thank you, J. King. Bizzy's not here, but you can find Bizzy on Bizzy Bron and Bizzy Bron Reactions on Instagram and TikTok. He's got all the reactions and all that stuff. You can see us crazy gangs there as well. So definitely go and check him out on TikTok right now. Try to get him to 100K as soon as possible. And where can everybody find you?
Between the light and the dark. No. Find me here on JVS.
Get out. No.
Me and Mike are gonna have some Star Wars discussions in the future. And also I think we're doing Great Crusader soon. Yeah. So I think that's coming out. We just finished watching that. So look for me there.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. So we have a great discussion about that. I have some things to say about that too. But thank you all for your comments, even people that disagree with me, especially people that disagree with me. I appreciate the discourse. And for y'all that enjoy seeing me blush, please come back. I'll blush often.
Wow. Mike, I know you're not on camera, but where can everybody find your content?
On there you go. See me now. You can find me on YouTube and on Instagram at Jedi Mike 7. Thank you from Pardon the Crime, J. King coming along. Thank you guys for treating him well and all that stuff. But yes, I just want to say I'll give this rating show C+. And as a Star Wars fan and everything, at least with Star Wars should be, hopefully was meant to be to bring people together. And I love doing that when reviewing this stuff and everything. And along with other movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, you can find me there at Jedi Mike 7 and on here on TeamJVS.
Yes, sir. So is the consensus is that we're all interested in the second season?
I'm not, but
TBD.
Okay. J. King's the only one I got to nod
certain
for.
Characters, yes. The whole package, I don't know. But I don't have it.
Me. Me, just because I want to see where this could go and the hopes that they improve on the stuff that didn't work.
Okay. Well, J. King, when they conclude this for our second season, you're invited to the council. So we will start this discussion. Everybody else is indifferent, I guess.
Gotcha.
You made it. But just remember, you got to lie for us at this point now. That's how the council works.
Yeah.
we might use some shady stuff.
We're out.
Got to build you up.
Filing out the top of the I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my time.